Hey Johnny, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be totally honest. As soon as I started a podcast, the first person I thought about being a guest was you. Like
Sweet.
100%. I'm like, I gotta have Johnny on. And part of that is because I think we've grown so close over our time training together. But like your work ethic really inspired me to work harder when I was a trainer. Like I was still a pretty young trainer when we first got together. So that's kind of where I want to start. So we started working together summer of 2016, correct? Right. That
Yep.
was before senior year, and your senior year at Dubuque. And I just remember, so I was always kind of jaded. This is gonna sound bad, but I was always kind of jaded towards like senior year, late college athletes coming in for the first time, because frankly, a lot of them kind of had this like God complex, delusions of grandeur, where it's like, I'm already a senior, I've already done, like, what can you do for me? And so, admittedly, when you came in, I was like, shoot, like another freaking senior in college, like, oh my god. And you give off like this very serious vibe. Like I remember you and Ben walking in, no smiles, like you were just straight there,
Yeah.
there to work. But eventually, I saw this like, this kid, like he gets after it because you were working at a kids camp, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, working at kids camp all day for God knows how many hours, and then you would come in and you would train, for an hour or 2 hours, and you would just do it every day of the week, and just get after it. So your work ethic was just phenomenal. I remember specifically the first pool day you had with the kids, and you came and you were just wiped. I'm like, hey Johnny, what's up? And it's like, we had pool day today. I can imagine.
Mhm.
So speaking of the work ethic, what is that something that you developed over time? Is that something that was instilled in you from like your family background while you were coming up? Where did that desire to, like, by any means necessary, come from?
I think a majority of that I can attribute to like my dad. My dad, growing up, he was a Marine for 4 years, and then he joined law enforcement. So, and he's been my coach since I was in first grade. So, definitely always taught me that if you want something, you're gonna work for it, and that's always been my motto. And aside from him providing all that help, it's been my upbringing. I've always been the shorter kid, the skinnier kid, so I've been doubted a lot. And to me, I let that feed my anger rather than buy into everybody else. That's always been how I viewed myself. That's how I coach people now. Don't ever let somebody say you can't do something. Prove that you can.
Yeah, awesome. Do you remember what your pre-test was like? You and me were together.
I think I remember the treadmill session. I ran like 19 miles per hour, and then I remember you telling me, you're like, you may not move up as much because of I was an older person. But then like you looked at my brother and he's banging on the treadmill. You're like, you're definitely gonna get better.
Yeah, man. Ben ran like something, like he was powerful, but it was not a pretty machine, you
Yeah,
know. But
it
yeah,
wasn't.
I think you were in the 20s. I want to say you were 20 or 20.5. But yeah, I had that talk with you. It's like, hey man, you're pretty fast. Your form's pretty solid. We're gonna do what we can. But we only, at that point, I think we only had you for 3 weeks. Like it was right before camp,
Hmm.
because you went off. Like, hey, we'll do what we can in 3 weeks. You come and work. We'll put in the work for you. What you end up finishing at?
I think it was like I remember I could have hit 23, but you said I gave up like half a second early, so you couldn't cheat me out of that. So I had the 22.5, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'll have to go back, but you were cruising, and a 2.5 mile, 2 mile an hour increase in 3 weeks. For someone who was already fast was huge. And that, you know, I over those 3 weeks I became like a really big fan. But then, especially you understanding, like, he's not giving me this, but I didn't earn it, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, all right, I'm Team Johnny. Team
Yeah.
Team Johnny for life. Um, so let's go. You finish the training with us. You go to camp. You turn some heads, and then your first game. What was it like your first game, your senior year in college. You remember that one?
Oh man, it was. I mean, we ended up winning that game 70-58 against Bethel College out in Minnesota. It was a home game. I remember like I was a starter. I was, ready to go. I had gotten time my junior year, but we won conference, and I had seniors that were still there, but I was still playing. But now I had like that role where I was one of the guys. I think my first catch was like a 15-yard gain, and then the next catch I busted off for I think it was a 63-yard touchdown and on a post that the kid never touched me. And
Yeah.
then there's that picture that I signed that's hanging up in Get Fast with the ref laying down on his back and me running by him. So
Burned everyone.
yeah, so like that was, and then later that game have another 50-yard touchdown, and it was just that's probably one of my most memorable games, not just because of my own, but how the game went off. Like we had a record.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Like I almost remember looking at the stats. So my my Sunday routine was looking at all the college stats. I remember looking at the stats and being like, "Well, there's a typo. Something's fake here." Like,
Yeah.
you turned off, you went off, and then you finished the season at Loris, correct? Was that
Yeah.
the
I
final one?
had that week of my life was a whirlwind. That was the week the Cubs won the World Series. You're a Mariners fan, so it doesn't really.
We don't know
But,
what that's like.
but that win was amazing, and then unfortunately, I had my grandfather pass away that next morning, early in the morning. So I was kind of all out of whack, and then 2 days later, I had to play in my final game, and I remember my quarterback, he left me a card in my locker for me like right before the game. So like having that and then coming out and it's my final game, I have the emotions going because I'm still in that grieving process, but then I go off, I have 4 catches for 3 touchdowns, and I don't even know how many yards, but
It's 130. I looked that one up.
all right.
It's
to
130.
to cap it off like that really put the stamp on how I felt about college
Yeah, that was a
football.
very Randy Moss type stat line, and
Yeah,
what like you said is a very up and down week. You're on top of the world,
yeah.
come crashing back to earth, and then you get to, just do it one more time. Like if
Hmm.
you play college sports, that final game, like I've got goosebumps thinking about like, my final game. Thinking
Yeah,
about what it feels like to play with, your guys, your girls one more time. Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome. So we go, D3 football's over. And this is where, you know, not that I didn't see your trust in me before. This is where like you went full bore into me and it like really turned my corner as a coach, because you're like, hey, I've got some tryouts lined up. You want to get me ready? Do you think you can? I'm like, heck yeah. And honestly, I didn't know. like, like it's trial and error, right? I'm
yeah,
gonna figure it out. So and even then you're still working full time with the kids to offset your training. You're interning with me, so I hired you on as an intern, 3 hours a night, I think.
yeah,
And then we're training after we close, so we're from 8 to 10 o'clock, doing strength work, speed work in like less than optimal circumstances. you know what was it just wanting to give yourself the opportunity to keep playing ball? Was it you know what was it that gave you the energy to be in the sun for 8 hours, train athletes for 3 hours, take your own do your own work for 2 hours?
yeah.
What drove that?
I think that just mainly came from the childhood dream of playing professional sports. Like that's everybody. Nobody. Some people say you're gonna play this sport and then maybe I don't like it, but for me, football's been everything my whole life. And for me to, go out my senior year, do what I did, and then after it, I wasn't satisfied. Most people say, no, that's just not for me. Like I have that talk with my brother all the time because he could have been something, further, but he was just like, no, I know my time is up. For me, that time wasn't up. And even still at 25, I feel like I can still do something. Now, whether or not that could ever come, nobody knows. But that to me, I knew I had it in me, and I knew I can make it. And then reaching out to you, that was someone that had the same mindset as me. Maybe you didn't know how you were gonna help me or what was not, but I knew you would help me, and that's why I ultimately turned to you.
Yeah, one of the funnest summers of my life. One of the most fun summers of my life. Is one of the longest summers of my life. But like, I wouldn't have changed that at all. And then so we get to training, and it's kind of like a constant, like from a trainer standpoint, like we're tweaking things all the time because you have pool days with the kids, because maybe our sprint where days we're supposed to do sprint work, we're tired, or whatever. And you're allowed to be tired, when you train. Um, but you go to a combine for the Iowa Barnstormers, the fabled Iowa Barnstormers, of Kurt Warner fame. So talk about your tryout experience. Talk about what it felt like to get the call, the email, from the
Yeah.
coach saying,
So
"Hey, we want you."
so I actually seen. I was scrolling on Twitter one day and I seen that there was a tryout and it was in Pella, Iowa. Pella, Iowa. They Central College is there and we play them. We played them when I was at Dubuque, so I knew of Pella, Iowa, and I was like, you know what, like I've always watched arena football growing up. Like I played at halftime of a Chicago Rush game. So like I was like, you know what? It's professional football. Like it says professional football. So I'm gonna take that drive and I'm gonna go do it. It was like a 5.5 hour drive. I get there. It's like raining outside. It's super cold. So I get inside. I'm warming up and I meet the head coach and everything goes well. We do the testing, we did the 40, the broad jump, and the 5-10-5 shuttle. And then we go to the one-on-ones and the head coach is the quarterback. So he's the one throwing, he played arena ball. He's the one throwing to us. And I think I got, because a lot of the people, unfortunately, it looked like these people got off the couch and
Right.
looked like that's what they were going to do, and I'm going to try this. And some of them said they haven't played football since their freshman year of high school, so it's like they clearly thought it was something that it wasn't. And then he was very clear with us. He's at the beginning, he said, I guarantee I'm going to take 2 of you, but I can take 3. That's just how these things go. And I had 7 routes because I was the hungry one. Everybody else, someone was cramping, someone hurt themselves. So I was eager to step up and do what I had to do, and I caught every single pass. And you could kind of tell like he was waiting till the last second to feed them in there for certain people, and still went 7 for 7. And then I think it was maybe like a month and a half, and month and a half, and then it was 2 months before camp. I was at work and I get a call from a Iowa number, and I go in the room. I'm like, hello, and he hits me with it. He says he wants me to come to training camp, and that was something that was even more difficult after that, because now I'm in a situation where I made it past the first cut, but I've never had to see that second cut, and it was definitely nerve wracking. But even just to get there, I, I'm talking to my hopeful teammates, and they all have NCAA D1 backgrounds. Oh, I had a tryout with the Eagles, or I had a tryout with the Chiefs. So like these people, they're not slouches in the Arena League. Like they all have, some credential behind them. And like I think a handful of my teammates were on the very last NCAA football game. So like
Yeah, I
it,
remember looking at the roster and like, seeing where they played at college, or they played in the CFL, or even people on the team that you played with. Your quarterback went to CFL, correct?
Yep, he
Um,
left for 2 games. He went to Saskatchewan to play corner for a little bit.
yeah. So, like those were athletes, like straight
Yeah,
athletes. And it's like, could they? No, these guys were fast. They were big. They were strong. But kind of what you were alluding to, I think a lot of people forget that past the tryout, like that, I went to an open trial too. I wasn't as fortunate as you, but past that trial, like you still got to make the team. It's not
Hmm.
like, oh, you got at the trial, you got a team spot. So you're still like grinding, and especially for someone like you had to transplant 5.5 hours, and now you're staying in like kind of not great living conditions, but still got to perform, at the top. So
Yeah.
what was so you get you make last cuts. What's that feel like? You're now a professional football player.
Oh man, that was so nerve wracking, especially like throughout all of training camp. I ended up getting a little banged up. I hurt my quad, but I still went to practice every day. I never, I told the trainer and she would tell me like, okay, see how this feels. And I guarantee there was some tape that looked ugly, but I had to do it because if I sat out, I didn't want to risk being cut because I had seen people, it's unfortunate, but that's the business aspect is you got hurt. We can't, take someone that's hurt onto our team because we have roster spots. So I had to battle through that. I'm battling through. It was now I would never say I went through depression, but to wake up at 5 in the morning, it's negative 25 degrees outside, and you got
It's
to drive.
Iowa.
You got to drive 35 minutes to practice. Like that's very rough. But you know, I remember it was one of my friends that I met through training camp. He was the final cut, and then coach sent us a message saying, "See you at 6 a.m. for practice." And I just remember like being in awe, like that's it. And I like called my parents. I called my now fiance. I made it. Like it's done. And I just remember feeling that bit of relief. Like I made it. Like
Yeah,
that was it.
yeah,
So it was a great feeling.
that's awesome. Yeah, I remember when you told me, like, dude, I was so stoked. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think, and that's one of the things about being a trainer is like, I'm way happier. Like, your guys' success, I'm so much happier than anything I ever did on the field. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're seeing that now as a coach.
Oh, absolutely. That seeing like I have a bunch of kids that are going on to play college football. Like that was my goal, of because I went to the high school I came from. So getting to see kids do the same things I was doing, that's my ultimate, bit of happiness.
Awesome. So you're a pro football player now. It's not the NFL, right? It's not glamorous. I think we talked about that. Like it's really interesting. I think all athletes should go watch, whether it's minor league or independent league baseball or arena league football or whatever. So like these are professional athletes, these are grown men and women, who are in the upper, 2%, let's say, of their sport. Um, what what was your overall experience with the Barnstormers? You started off hot. You dealt with some injuries.
Yeah.
It culminated in the first championship in Barnstormers history. Can you just like kind of
Yeah.
summarize your time with the Barnstormers?
I mean, ultimately, like I will always be thankful to the head coach. He gave me that opportunity. He's seen something in me, and then it comes out to that first game, and as we're in the tunnel getting ready to come out, they tell me, "Hey, you're starting this game." I'm like, "What?" So I start my first pro game that I'm ever in, and then my first reception is a touchdown. Like
Sure was.
that's a script I could never imagine. And from then on, it had its ups and downs. And would I ever say I regret any of it? No, absolutely not. We had a great bond as a team. That was the most important thing. Like just on Monday, it was our 2-year anniversary since the championship that we won, and that those are bonds that I'll forever keep. And those people I met and know for 6 months, so it's like that was a real bond with those people that I'll have in my life forever. But overall, the experience of although it wasn't the millions that Patrick Mahomes is getting right now, I made money playing football. I I got to live out my dream, and you know whether where it takes me from here, that, you know, that's up to the man above, but it gave me the opportunity that I always wanted, and it was really awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at the football you gave me right now, the IFL
Yeah.
champ. It stays on my bookcase. You know, maybe that'll be the cover of the show. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, just even I remember driving over to watching you play.
Yeah, Cedar
Was
Rapids.
in Cedar Rapids. I apparently missed a blizzard by about 45 minutes. Uh,
Yeah, we did
just
too after the game.
yeah, just catching. There's some like 55 cars in the ditch on my way there. But again, it's like a 5.5 hour drive. I think people don't realize how big and nothing Iowa is. Um,
Yeah.
but that even that environment, like it's not Soldier Field or Lambeau Field or CenturyLink where the Seahawks play, but like people are into it, and it is
Hmm.
like it was real football. Like you know, again, yeah, I think people have this like it's not really like those hits are big.
Yeah.
The game is fast, especially with the downhill motion.
Hmm.
The chance for like huge collision. The wall comes into effect. And it
That
was
wall is not friendly, not
no,
forgiving at all.
yeah, but it's just like man, it was really awesome
Yeah.
to get to watch you play. Um, all right, so you finish with the Barnstormers. You go back to uh, Morton High School, where you become you're an assistant football coach. You wear many hats. You uh, head head freshman girls basketball coach for the B team. You took on the track jumpers. You assist with girls rugby. Why? I guess why do you feel pulled to coach so many different groups of people? Because like there's not very many commonalities between say track and field jumper and girls rugby players.
Yeah. So I think the main reason, you know, I turned to coaching, and, you know, later finding that coaching is my passion. That's what I want to do. It's been molded by, you know, my dad, the way he coached me, and the coaches that he had alongside him, and then my high school coaches, my college coach, and then, you know, someone like you who, you know, you guys give me that opportunity to do what I know I can do. And, you know, you put so much time and effort into it, and at the end of the day, that's something, hey, you know, I aspire to do this, like that's what I want to do. So, you know, for me, even that summer of interning with you, like that's what made me grow as a coach right there. Was I wasn't dealing with just football players, or, you know, just male athletes. You know, someone that you talk about and I was introduced to, Caitlin Hart, that by far she's the number one athlete I have ever met, because the things she's done and continues to do consistently, and beats herself every year. Like it's unreal what someone like her can, like, that is the epitome of an athlete, and that's what I want to find in, you know, these kids. You know, you never know who it could be, a football player, rugby player, it could be so many athletes. So that's definitely where that desire comes from.
I think and this could be biased from working at Get Fast and managing the facility and stuff like that. But I think something that really is driven into a lot of interns or coaches or trainers said when you're at Get Fast, that maybe I think wrongly thought of in like kind of the general public is that female athletes like just aren't maybe as strong or as fast or whatever, and like physically sure you can't bench press as much as a football lineman, but the female athletes are absolute savages,
Yeah.
and I think I could be wrong, but I think kind of being witness to some of the Caitlin Harts, or the Tori Finkleas, or some of those athletes, you know I think have kind of driven you to like the girls rugby team, like, oh, I'm gonna find that savage,
Yeah.
or
And we definitely had some.
yeah, or even just show these girls like, hey, it's okay to be strong and fast and powerful,
Hmm.
right? Being that good role model. Um, so if you had to, so your school not generally known for football, right?
No.
It's a soccer school,
Yep.
a very successful soccer program.
Absolutely.
What are you looking to, bring to the football program, to help to elevate it, within its own ranks in the school, and then hopefully eventually within, the area and the state.
Just simply, showing them that, you know, our demographics of our school, we play football too, and it's about trying to buy into one idea of what we want as a team and going out and getting it. My senior year, we had a great bond. We had a great, we were all determined for the same goal, and at the end of the day, we fell just short. And it was amazing to be that close, but to have now the knowledge I do to deliver to these kids and the guys we coach with. And one of my great friends, he's the offensive coordinator, and he has the same ideas, but he's from a way different walk of life, but he has that same passion for these kids as I do, as someone who's there. So those messages that we can deliver to them, that we belong just as much as anybody else, that's the biggest thing I want to deliver to them.
Yeah, we belong. Yeah, I love that. Is there, so let's assume your whole football team, your whole girls rugby team, your jumpers are all listening. Is there one message you want to send to them, like right now? This seems like a good spot for it.
Oh, I mean, just nothing will ever be given to you, whether in anything, nothing's going to be given to you, but if you work for it, it will come at some point. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but somewhere down the road, if you continue to work towards what you want, you can make it happen.
That's awesome. All right. All right. So I think that's just like a really good sentiment to kind of end, this part on. Do you have anything for me? Uh,
Uh, well, yeah. So you've been in the recent months before all this COVID stuff. You helped me with all the workouts, and still trying to develop my body and get everything right. But as you know, I moved my wedding date up to July 3rd of 2021. So I need a good workout plan, but I also need another groomsman. So I want to know if you'd be interested.
my brother, I'll, I'll say yes to both. I'll get you the workout plan, and I appreciate the thought of being a groomsman, man. That is awesome.
For sure, man.
Now I'm blushing. I'm gonna have to like switch the lighting. But
No, that's you've been a big part of my life and many others, and that's the one small thing I can do, or one of the first people I thought of. So
awesome. Hey man, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, so I got a couple lightning questions for you. Let's wrap this up. Okay. These are kind of along the same lines as a lot of lightning questions, but I put a little bit of chase spin on it. So,
all right.
if you could only do one exercise and its variations for the rest of your life, what would it be? So, if it's like a barbell bench, you could do incline barbell bench, decline barbell, close grip, all that stuff. One exercise and its variation, what would it be?
I'd say bench, probably barbell bench.
Why?
That I feel like that's like the primary lift that everybody loves. That's one of my favorite, but to add the incline, decline, floor press, you could do so much more to target different areas. My legs might be hurting a little bit, but
Build the chest, screw the rest is what
yep,
some people say.
exactly.
What is your go-to cheat dessert? Not cheat meal, cheat dessert.
Desserts. Uh, Probably cookies and cream ice cream.
Any particular brand, or just any cookies and cream is okay?
Any cookies and cream.
Okay. Hey, it's simple, easy. I like it.
Yeah.
So, so are you also an Oreo fan? Just like plain Oreos?
Oh yeah, definitely,
Smash a
definitely an
sleeve.
Oreo fan. Yeah.
Okay, and then final one. If you could play for any sports team in any era, which one would it be?
Any sports team in any era. I'm going to throw a little wrench in it. I would probably want to be a part of the 2016 Cubs.
Yeah, I kind of figured you were gonna be that one. I thought it might have been the '85 Bears.
No, it would be the 2013 Seahawks over them.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, what was the deciding factor between the Cubs and the Seahawks?
Oh man, that was the Cubs were my childhood, and that was another thing where like I almost feel like maybe there was like a hint of what I went through as a child, like with why are you a Cubs fan? They suck, they suck, they suck. And I was like always that confident kid who said, no, they're not that bad. They're gonna be doing it this year. They're doing it this year. And of course I waited till I was 22 to do it, but still that drive of that fandom for me that's always been number one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's a good pick. I remember, I'm not a Cubs fan, but I just remember the feeling of Chicago, like
Yeah.
at that time. Like my mail was delayed for like a week and a half because no one could get anything done. I almost missed rent.
Jeez.
Yeah, but he was a Cubs fan, so he understood.
Yeah.
Any final? You want to shout out your Instagram? Any final thoughts? Any? Before
My
we?
Instagram's Johnny F Ball 83, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll confirm.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, that's about it. Thank you for having me. Thank you for obviously we're more than just a podcast interaction. We definitely talk throughout. But thank you for having me on as a guest. I'm honored.
Hey man, I appreciate you being. I appreciate you being the first one. This was awesome. Yeah, I had a ton
Yeah,
of fun.
sweet.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're going to be on again.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and
You too.
I'll talk to you later.
Later.
Peace.